Atheism doesn't have a chance, ladies and gentlemen. Not even a chance. They cannot get that first cell. And without it, you cannot have life. You cannot get up to where we're at now unless you start with that very first living cell. In their theory, anyways. Not in our theory, because I believe and I know that God created the whole man. Man has always been man. But in the atheist view, it all started with that first cell. And now here we are. So, let's think about that. Atheists cannot get even that first cell. Because first of all, life don't start with just one cell. It biologically couldn't have started with one cell. It cannot start this way because living cells cannot exist without DNA, and DNA cannot exist without living cells. The living cell is built from the instructions, from the information contained in the DNA. But I'm going to be nice to atheists. Let's say a living cell pooped into existence after millions or trillions, quadrillion, whatever amount of years. Finally, the atheists have their living cell and it's functioning just fine. Wake up, atheists. Cells only live a matter of days. So all you have now is a living cell that's going to do what? What now, atheists? Answer that. What? Now you have a cell, it's formed and it's just floating around, doing nothing. Now what? Nothing. That's what. You still have nothing, just a cell floating around a pool of ooze or whatever the hell you believe in your fairy tale that existed back then. You have a living cell floating around. Within a matter of days, it dies off. Now nothing. That one cell is not going to do anything. It only does what it does because of the instructions within the DNA. It is the instructions from DNA that make cells create. They don't create or do anything, nothing, without the information decoded from the DNA into the instructions that make them do something. Cells don't create a human being in a woman's body just because they're bored. They create from the information that is decoded into the instructions, aka the blueprint. Words you'll hear all the time among biologists. Instructions, blueprint for life, whatever. It's the information decoded into instructions from DNA that make the blueprint for a human being, on assembling a human being, where the organs should go, what the organs should be, their size, their function. Literally everything in detail is in these instructions. So a baby forms in the womb. The cells won't do jack shit unless they have the instructions, information. They don't do anything otherwise. So here's a cell with no information, no instructions to do a damn thing. It's just a cell. That's it. It floats around in a pool of ooze. No information, instructions to do anything. So it just dies off in a few days. That's it. The cell floating around, it dies. Now the atheists have nothing. Their theory is biologically absurd. As a student of biology here in Phoenix, Arizona, me and my Christian friends and a couple of Christians who also study with me, we have a really fine time laughing at the shit that atheists believe. That just flies in the face of every single known, not guessed, theorized, of every single known biological scientific fact of how things work within the body, how life starts, etc., etc. It just flies in the face of everything. Known facts. Atheists, you're not getting your first living cell, sorry. And if you did, once again, it would just be an cell with zero information, no instructions to do a damn thing, just floating around like a stupid idiot until it eventually dies off. Now what? I mean, almost any atheist, if they're honest, who knows anything about biology, is going to tell you that no cell is going to live for millions and millions and millions of years until another cell formed or something else happened by chance. It doesn't live that long, folks. They know anything about biology, it doesn't live that long. And the one cop-out that I hear from many atheists, oh, well, this was so long ago. I mean, yeah, they have a short lifespan now, but we don't know what the cell was back then. It could have been a really, really long lifespan. You see how they argue from ignorance, people? The logical fallacies and the arguments from silence is absolutely incredible. They do this constantly. Their only evidence, and this is it, people, I mean literally, the only evidence they have for their view, that everything started on its own, life started on its own, no God required. Everything, literally, that they have for their view is nothing but arguments from silence, speculation, assuming, and thousands of logical fallacies. That's all they have. There is no biological facts that support their view. There is no scientific evidence to support their view because no scientist living knows the origin of life. None of them. Richard Dawkins even admitted it. He was asked, what is it? He said, I don't know. He said, quite frankly, nobody does. Nobody knows. So it's arguments from silence, guessing, logical fallacies, and mainly personal belief. They believe it happened anyways, regardless, because it's better in their mind, if they're honest and admit it, than believing the alternative. You see, if God is the alternative, then it's better than that. Because with God, I'm accountable. I now have to answer to Him, and I don't want to be accountable, which is what this all boils down to in the first place, accountability and eternal punishment and all that stuff. They don't want to think about that. Even a 1 in a trillion chance of that. They don't want to think about that. So, believing in what they do and keeping the view that they have of the origins of everything, they don't care if it's based on nothing at all. It's better than believing the alternative. You see, we're not dealing with people that give a damn about evidence. This has never had anything to do with evidence, people. This has to do with being a blockhead. They're blockheaded. They would rather believe something that is backed by nothing, not even supported 2% by anything at all, that flies in the face of all the known biological facts. They don't care. They'd rather believe that because they have this attitude, I'll be damned if I accept God. Never. No way in hell. And I've heard them actually say, I've had them actually say that to my face when I've been out witnessing on the street. That's exactly what they've said to me, many of them, to my face. They've said, I'll be damned before I believe in God. I don't give a damn if there's no evidence for my position. I will not allow myself to accept it. And I'm not screaming, because I'm angry or anything on this video. I'm actually demonstrating how they have put it to me. And in the tone that they have put it to me. I'm not angry right now in any way doing this video. But I was demonstrating the anger that was put towards me and the exact way that they said it to me. That's how I get treated by them out on the street when I'm witnessing. And one walks up to me. Doesn't happen too often. It's a rare thing. But I've had my run-ins with them on the street. Me and the other Christians that go witnessing every now and then. We have our run-ins with them, and that's exactly the way they said it to me. Red-faced, pissed off, I'll be damned before I believe in God. And they have all kinds of excuses. Because he did this, he did that, he allowed this to happen, and that to happen, and what about this in the Old Testament, and these atrocities, and this atrocity over here he allowed, and so he allowed, and these things that happened, and this evil over here, and they go on and on and on and on and on. So I've gotten to do this for enough years now where I know exactly why the atheists refuse to believe. And again, it has nothing to do with evidence. It never has been an issue of evidence. It's an issue of blaming God for everything and for not personally understanding the reasons why for tons of things. Oh, this was atrocity. If God is love, why would he allow that? Oh, here was an atrocity. If he was this, why would he allow that? So it's a blaming game based on their lack of understanding of the Bible. They're biblically ignorant. They don't know the reasons for anything or all the whys. They don't even care to know. They just want to blame God, and they refuse to accept him. So we're not dealing with an issue of evidence, people. We're dealing with the heart condition. They're pissed at God. They're angry at God. They blame him for this atrocity, blame him for that atrocity. Well, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. I don't understand why he would allow this, why he would allow that. So we see it's a heart condition. This has nothing to do with evidence at all. It's a blockheaded, pig-stubborn heart condition. The first cell could not have come to existence on its own. Impossible. Now, this doesn't prove God to an atheist, and I'm not here in this video to prove God. I'm here to say that the view of God creating is at least supported by the known biological facts that we observe. We can see with our eyeballs every day. We know are facts, supported by them. And atheism is supported by nothing. It flies in the face of every known biological fact. If it was such a biological fact and they had evidence on their side, then you atheists listening to this right now, I'm talking to you, then you would have the answers. If it's such a fact that life created itself and we don't need God or any gods or whatever, then you would have the answers as to the origin of life. You would have all the answers already. But you have no answers. And the reason why you have no answers is because the atheist biologists don't know how it could have possibly happened anyways. Because they know the facts as well. They're not stupid. Richard Dawkins knows the facts. He's a biologist. He's not an idiot. Although he calls Christians idiots because he's such a smart ass. But he knows the biological facts just as much as I do. I study biology. I know the facts. He knows the same facts. We all have the same data. That's why even the non-believers, the atheists who study biology, they can't understand how it could be possible either. But they still believe it happened on its own. without God. They still accept that. They still deny God. I have to deal with these people on a daily basis. As a student of biology, I deal with them. I get their ridicule as a Christian, but behind closed doors, I've also got every damn one of them to admit, I don't know how in the world this could have been possible because of what I've learned in biology. But when I bring up, well, then why don't you accept God? They say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Knock it off with that crap. I'm not going to accept God. Just because I don't know or don't understand, don't mean that I'm going to accept God, and they shut me down real quick. Now that's how blockheaded they are. They see the facts with their own freaking eyeballs, the people that study biology with me. They know it's pretty much biologically impossible because of what they've learned. They know all the facts. They've seen all the data. They admit to me themselves they don't know how in the world it could have happened because of what they know. They have no answers, no logical way to explain how it could have happened because of what they've learned through biology. But yet they accept it happened without God anyways. So you see what we're dealing with? It's a heart problem. It's not a matter of evidence. It never has been. They have no evidence, nothing to support their view. And they admit it when it's just me and them in the same room together. And I push hard enough because I've become friends with a lot of them. Yeah, we argue, but yeah, we're friends anyways. And because of that, and they like me, and they trust me in that, behind closed doors, I've gotten every damn one of them to admit it. And that they have no clue how it could have possibly happened because of all the data they've learned in biology. Everything points to it being absolutely impossible. But yet if I mention God, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me that. So it's a heart problem. Against the evidence, based on freaking nothing at all. They accept that life happened on its own anyways, based on nothing. Only because the alternative is, well, God, which means they are now accountable to Him when they die. They're going to go to the other side. They're still going to be fully conscious, and they're going to have to face the consequences for rejecting Him. They're going to have to answer for the way they lived. They don't want this. See, it's a heart problem. It's not a matter of evidence. It never has been, because they have no evidence. Against the evidence and without any evidence, they assume it happened anyways. And their only answer is, well, we just haven't found the answer yet. That's not an answer. And it's not evidence. How is that evidence? If I can tell you, I know this is how something happened. I can't prove it. I have no idea how. I don't have any answers. But that doesn't mean it didn't. And it doesn't mean that we won't find the answers. How is this evidence of my view? My view then is based on nothing but faith. Religious faith. And nothing else. If you can't answer something and you don't have the answers, you don't have rock solid facts as to how something happened, like a biogenesis, then you have a belief alone and nothing else. A belief that is based on faith alone. The atheist has faith that that is the correct view. Faith and belief that that's the way indeed that it happened without God. Yep, that's the way it happened. We don't need God at all. Life did this, and this, and this, and the other, and this is how it happened. I believe it's how it happened. Can't prove it. Don't know any answers. Nothing supports it, but I believe it anyways. Biologically impossible to get the first cell, but I'm going to accept that it happened anyways. I mean, we're dealing with blockheads who have a heart condition. They won't let God in. They refuse to. We're dealing with a lot more under the surface, deep inside of these people. And it has nothing to do with lack of evidence pointing to God created. It's a lack of willingness. Because they will be damned before they accept God. Evidence has nothing to do with it. Because there is no evidence that supports the atheist view of how things began. It's nothing but a personal belief. That's it. Faith alone. A religion. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. And God bless. Whether you believe in Him or not, that's your problem.